Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 18th meeting of the Des Moines Planning and Zoning Commission. I will first read our rules and procedures. The Plan and Zoning Commission is generally an advisory body to the City Council. The City Council will hold a public hearing and make the final decision on all matters before the Commission other than site plans and subdivision plats, unless denials or conditional approvals thereof are appealed. Applicant will be given 10 minutes to present the request. Proponents and then opponents from the public are allowed to speak in that order, with each speaker allowed a maximum of 5 minutes. Applicant is then allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal. The hearing will then be closed and the commission will discuss and vote on the issue. All comments are to be germane to the item under consideration, and speakers are to maintain a courteous manner. And items listed on the consent portion of the agenda will not be individually discussed and will be considered for approval in accordance with the recommendation in the staff report, unless an individual present or a member of the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately under the public hearing agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting from April 4th? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. And now I will read through the consent public hearing items. So these are the ones that we will not discuss further unless someone wants to pull them off consent. Number 1 is a request from Maruka LLC, represented by LT Leon, officer, for review and approval of a public hearing site plan, office warehouse development for property located in the vicinity of 85 Jefferson Avenue, and for a type 2 design alternative to allow parking to be located in the front yard where parking areas are only permitted in a rear or interior side yard. Would anyone in the audience tonight like this item move to the public hearing agenda? Anyone on the commission? Okay, this will stay on consent. Number 2 is a request from 3800-3804 Ingersoll LLC, represented by Kimberly Robertson, for review and approval of a public hearing site plan, Financial Plus Credit Union, for property located in the vicinity of 3800 Ingersoll Avenue, and for the following type 2 design alternative to allow a drive-through facility in an MX2 district where drive-throughs are only allowed in MX3, CX, EX, I1, and P2 districts, and to allow an ITM structure in the rear yard not within 5 feet of the principal building code. Would anyone in the audience like this item move to public hearing? Anyone on the commission? Number 2 will stay on consent as well. Item 3 is a request from Todd Den for the review and approval of a public hearing site plan for property located at 3701 Southwest 32nd Street, and for a type 2 design alternative to allow for construction of a 160 square foot shed in a street side yard. Would anyone in the audience like this item discussed as part of the public hearing tonight? Anyone on the commission? Okay, number 3 will also stay on consent, and then there's the possibility for number 4 to also move to the consent agenda. I will read that. It's a request from GT Portfolio Iowa LLC, represented by Thomas Kuhn, for the following regarding property located at 1427 Fifth Avenue. Determination as to whether the requested rezoning is in conformance with Plan DSM, amending Plan DSM to revise the future land use classification of the property from low-density residential within a community node to high-density residential within a community node, and to rezone the property from NX5 to NX2 to allow reuse of an existing building for 7 residential dwelling units. Would anyone in the audience like this item discussed in the public hearing? Anyone on the commission? Okay, number 4, we'll move to consent. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move.
Thanks, Emily. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
I'm passing on number 2.
Thank you, Abby.
Did you catch that? Okay.
And I'm passing on, or abstaining on number 1. So it's Todd. Okay. Then we will move to the public
Excuse me, can we get a
hearing.
clarification on the abstains? I didn't catch all of them. I just want to make sure we got them all.
I'm abstaining from number 1, and so is Todd.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. Our singular public hearing item is number 5, a request from Amanda Genzen for review and approval of a public hearing site plan. The property is located at 1403 Merle Hay Road, and it's a type 2 design alternative to allow for construction of a 6-foot-tall wood privacy fence in the street side yard. Bert will present.
Is it? Or is it?
There it goes. There we go. Thanks, Michelle. All right, Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Bert Drost, planning staff for the City of Des Moines. Item number 5 is a Type 2 design alternative for a fence. The subject property is located at the corner of Merle Hay Road and Forest Avenue. Again, it's a corner lot, so there are some special restrictions that are put on solid fences over 3 feet in height for corner lots. So this sketch here, for the time being, don't read the words. I'll just, that'll come with the staff recommendation. But if you see this green line here and the red line, that is where the 6-foot-tall fence is today. Since it's a corner lot, any fence that's 6 feet tall needs to stay behind this dashed line here. So if you look to the south, Forest Avenue is to the south at the bottom, and then Merle Hay Road is at the left to the west, and the house faces west. Again, any 6-foot-tall fence is supposed to be at this line or back. So we call this the street side yard area, and they need to keep their 6-foot-tall fence out of that. So like I said, the green lines and the red lines represent the fence that is there today. Here's a few photos. This is looking at it from the corner. You can see the fence doesn't quite extend to the front of the house. Again, Merle Hay Road to the left, Forest Avenue to the right. This is looking at it from the southeast, and then this is just looking west down Forest Avenue. All right. So our staff recommendation, we do understand their plight of needing a more usable area in the rear yard. So we have recommended approval of a partial type 2 exception. I'll go back to that sketch that I was showing first. So we've recommended that they be able to keep the green fence here and as well as this blue line here. So essentially they'd be eliminating this red L-shaped fence, or more or less moving this segment here back to be even with the back plane of the house. So again, that's our recommendation. We feel that that would preserve the view a little bit better along at the intersection of Forest and Merle Hay Road.
Bert, I think one other thing too to
Sure.
note is that the property to the south, Forest Avenue, actually also it fronts Forest, so its front yard faces.
That's true, yeah. This house here on the south side of Forest does face north, and so they look out across the street at that fence. So. We didn't get any public comments back on this one. So were there any questions for me?
I have a question, Bert. The south stretch of the fence, as I understand it, is 30 inches from the public right-of-way. Is that?
It's
is that
30 inches behind the sidewalk. So It's 30 inches north of the sidewalk, and the property line is typically a foot inside the sidewalk. So
Oh,
we
so
don't know
is it-
exactly where it is, but it might be about 1.5 feet
So it
behind
is
the
in
pro-
compliance with all, in that regulation?
Yeah, it is entirely on their property.
Yeah.
Your com,
How did this come to be an item on our agenda?
Sure. They had taken out a fence permit, and they were given a permit to build a fence, and I believe they were granted a type 1 to allow them to extend somewhat into this area, but then when the inspector went to do the inspection to close out the fence permit, it was discovered that the fence was not built in accordance with the fence permit.
I believe the type 1, we can look in the record, but my recollection is that one of the stipulations, it was allowed to go to where that blue line is, but it was going to be set back, it was asked to be set back a few feet further than it is. But as staff, when we looked at this, as an enforcement, obviously, Bert's correct, we went out there and it didn't match up with what the permit was issued for. But after further looking at it and in the spirit of compromise, we're recommending something different than what we granted initially.
Any other questions for Bert?
when you use the word view, are you talking view as far as aesthetic or safety?
Both. So like for the property owner to the south, it's kind of an aesthetic issue for them because when they look out their front windows, they're more or less just looking at a fence rather than at another yard. And then it's a little bit of a safety issue, but the fence is, even what's there today is clearly outside of the required vision clearance triangle at the intersection, so it's not truly a safety issue.
So it is outside the vision
Yes,
triangle?
yeah.
Okay, got it,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The applicant can come forward if you'd like to speak. You've got 10 minutes. Please state your name and address when you come up, and then there's a white piece of paper to sign in on when you're done.
My name is Chris McCann. I'm a friend of the family of Amanda Genzen, and if it's okay, I'll be speaking on her behalf. So the fence was initially, she was given bad information prior to the fence being built. Since 95% of the fence followed the original fence line, she was under the impression that she was upgrading an existing fence. Once we found out that we did need a permit, she stopped everything. The reason that we would like you to approve the way the fence is now is on the south side of the house, there are 2 bedroom windows and an egress window. Essentially, that's the main reason we had brought the distance of the fence to that location. Is just a safety issue for our stance. There's access to public parking right on that street. There's constantly people parking there, sitting in their cars, waiting for people to come and go. It's somewhat of a nuisance to the household. So the fence kind of blocks a majority of that. Also, moving the fence back to where they would like us to eliminate so much more space in her backyard. And if we're not out of compliance with any safety ordinance, we've discussed with the neighbor to the south, he doesn't care about the fence. Most of the neighbors in that neighborhood appreciate the fence because we have 3 very big dogs that run and bark at everybody that walks by. And that fence reduces that drastically. So we would just like to have the fence stay where it is. It took her close to 4 years to save the amount of money to build that fence. I know that's irrelevant, but the cost to redo anything is extremely significant to her based on her limited income. So I think that's all we have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have,
Do we sit?
No, you can stay because we'll do questions. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I wonder if you could talk more about the safety reasons, the security and safety reasons for why you put the fence where it is.
So both the windows are children's bedroom windows, and then there's also an egress window that you can't see there now. Having that exposed to the street is just, it's more of a peace of mind to have that fence around her property as far as access to the windows to the public. It eliminates anybody being able to walk up directly to the window. It gives her some barrier,
There's
a peace of mind.
there's no way to lock the egress window. There's no, somebody could just come and lift it up. And that's a bedroom where that egress window is. So it's kind of nerve wracking to just have that.
It's like an open door. So the fence, I mean, granted, it's not a locked door, but it creates security.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Please do sign in if you didn't already on that white sheet of paper, and I'll close the public hearing since there's no one to speak for or against this item, and ask the commissioners what we think.
I'd like to let them keep their fence. I think if it's not bothering the neighbors and it's not a safety issue from a public perspective, but it feels like a safety issue for them personally to keep it, I'm in favor of letting them have relief here.
I'd support that as well. Again, if this wasn't a corner, there's nothing else wrong with the fence right now, and it doesn't cause a safety issue from the corner either for the traffic. I would be leaning towards allowing it to remain.
I would like to express the opinion of the neighbor across the street. I wouldn't want to be looking at a wood wall, frankly, and I think that the staff already has given a good compromise in terms of something that was permitted, but then not implemented. So I think that the compromise that the city has struck is a good one.
Well, I think it was a nice offer from the city, and it was done in the spirit of compromise. But from their point of view, it's probably as far as they can go and still do what they feel to be their duty. But I sympathize with them. It's a busy street. They live there. They know the neighborhood. He said he talked to the neighbor, and the neighbor is okay with it, and the neighbor had a chance to comment and didn't. So I'm also in favor of granting relief.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
Are we closed? I don't know.
I did close the,
She had requested public comment already, so yeah, she had opened up.
there wasn't anyone here at the time.
Correct. Yep. No, she made sure.
That's okay. I think we're all right.
I'll move to deny staff recommendation.
You're moving to approve the request.
Approve the request.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the request. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. All opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any, do I do gavel and then ask for reports?
No,
Okay.
gavel's
Do you have any
when
reports?
we're officially done, which you can, in about 30 seconds or less, because I have no report, so you can go ahead and gavel.
There we go. Thank you.